everyone, it's Annette. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to make this card together. It's a very simple card and I really like the way it came out, so I wanted to show you how I did it and hopefully you give it a try. So I'm going to set this aside and just kind of refer back to it, but I'll show you the products I'm going to use. And first I'm going to use this background stamp called Snowy Background, and it's from Gina K. And what I like about this stamp is it's called Snowy Background, but when you stamp it, it can look like a snowy background, but it can also look like ink splatter, which I do a lot on my cards. And instead of just dipping your paintbrush into some paint or some color and splatting the color on, you can create the same effect by using this stamp. So you don't need this stamp, but since I have it, I've not used it before, and I'm gonna give that a try today. So we're gonna do that first on our panel, and then we will run the panel through the die cut machine using Master Layouts 2, and I'm going to use the stitched rectangle die in this set, and that will create this really nice stitched border here around the panel. So we're going to, this card has just a white background, but I'm going to do the snowy background effect first, then we'll die cut it out. So let's do that step first. All right, so I am going to pull in a piece of scrap paper just to protect my work surface. And I think I may even tack this down so it doesn't move around on me. Okay. And then I'm going to take a piece of cardstock, and this is a little bit larger than a panel size because we're going to use the Master Layouts 2 die to cut it. But if you don't have this die, all you need to do is, after you do your stamping, just cut it down to 3 3/4 by 5 inch. And like I said, this is a little bit bigger than that right now, but that's all you would do. So let's dive right in. I'm actually just going to leave this stamp on the clear protective piece that comes with it. And we're just going to maybe even tack that down. Just give that a little tack down so it doesn't move. That's good. And I'm going to ink this up and then we'll lay the cardstock on. But before we ink it up, I don't think that's going to work, but before I ink it up, I am going to rub my hands across the whole stamp just to get the manufacturing residue off of the stamp since I've not used it before. And this is just priming the stamp. And this just allows the ink to adhere to the image a little bit better. So I think since that tape's not working very well, I'm going to just bring in some washi tape and just tape down that plastic piece. I just don't want it to move. So let's do that top and bottom. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to ink this stamp up with Gina K Designs Premium Water-Based Dye Ink in medium spruce. So let's just give that an inking and just go all over the stamp. Okay, and because I'm not using a stamping platform, I'm only going to get one shot at this, so I want to make sure I have good ink coverage down. And then you just want to carefully lay your cardstock on. Don't move it around, just lay it, and wherever it is. And then what you can do is just take a piece of paper or just something larger than this. I'm just going to use the packaging and just lay it right on top, and then you can give it a good press. Okay, just give it a good press and see what you get. And there you go. Really, really like that. So it gives the effect of snow, really, or ink splattering. Okay, so we're going to set that aside, and I'm going to wipe down the stamp using a tidy towel. Just any kind of wet or damp towel or microfiber towel, anything lint-free. Just wipe your stamps off right away just to get them cleaned, and then you can put them away. All right. All right, so I'm just going to set this aside because we're done with that. And put this away. All right, so now we have our panel, and then we're going to go ahead and die cut this out, like again with Master Layouts 2, and this is the stitched rectangle, the large stitched rectangle. It comes with two. One's a little narrow, and then the one, you know, we want the larger one for this. So we'll go ahead and get our die cutting and embossing machine out. Let me pull that up. I'm going to zoom out a little bit for this. And this is the Sizzix Big Shot. And then just want to, whatever embossing and die cutting machine you have, just follow the instructions that comes with the machine for the die cutting. So for my particular machine, it's the base plate, and I find that I usually put in a metal shim when I'm die cutting. So I just want to lay that down, and I am going to just use some tape here just to hold it down so it doesn't move. And the nice thing about cropping, whether you're hand cutting or using a die like I am, you can position it wherever you want. You know, you can position it down in this corner or up here. I don't have a whole lot of wiggle room, but it's okay. Just going to go ahead and tape it down just so it doesn't move on me. And then put the cover plate on and run it through. Okay, give that a quick pass. And then we'll take that off. And you can see that beautiful stitched edge. Okay. All right, so let me get this out of the way. Okay, and then now we're going to bring out the mini Misti. I am going to stamp. We're going to stamp next. So the stamp I'm going to use is, hold on one second. We are going to use this stamp set, and it's a stamp and die bundle called Holiday Floral, and I'm going to use the stamp right here. I'm not going to die cut anything else. I just want to stamp the image, and then we're going to use a coordinating stencil to blend some color on this image. So let's go ahead and just position the cardstock. And, you know, I want to decide, first of all, before I stamp, if I want this to go this way, let me zoom in, or this way. And, oh, I kind of like this heavy snow up here, or the splatter. So we'll go ahead and make sure that's put down really well. And then we just want to position our stamp wherever we want it. I know I'm going to put a greeting down in this area, so we'll probably put this right about like that. I think right there will be good. Okay. And I've already used this image, so I know it's already primed. And I'm going to use some Gina Design Premium Dye ink in Black Onyx. And we're going to stamp this, or ink this up, and then we'll stamp it. Thank you for joining me. I'm glad you're here. I do hope, if you haven't already subscribed, if you subscribe to my channel, I'd love to have you. Every week I put a video up on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. And appreciate you joining us every week. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to leave it in the comments. I will read them and I'll answer them. And I always put the description of all the products I use in the description. So be sure to check that out if you're curious. We're just going to ink that up again. Okay. And pop that down. That's what's nice about the stamping platforms, is you can double or triple stamp and it's going to be in the same spot every time. Okay, perfect. So that's enough for this stamp, but I'm going to stamp some additional images. get this off of here, put this away. And let me move this and let it dry, although this ink dries very quickly. Let me just set that out of the way. And I want to stamp a couple more images to add to this card when we're done. So I'm actually just going to stamp just one more image. This extra little berries, okay? And then also I also want to stamp the Merry Christmas out of this. Oops. Hang on, I got everything going on here at once. The Merry Christmas out of this stamp set. Okay, so I'm going to use this Merry Christmas and this extra berry element here. So we'll put that there. And I guess we will be cutting this out on the die cutting machine. So stick around for that. That's going to be right after this. All right, so we'll just pick this up and ink it up. Actually, I pulled the wrong ink. It's not really the wrong ink, but I picked up a different ink pad. Either one will do, the Gina K Black Onyx, but this time I accidentally grabbed the VersaFine Black, or Onyx Black. That's okay. I'm just going to stamp it once with that. Actually, I do want to stamp it one more time. Just get a little bit darker image. Okay, that's perfect. All right, now we'll wipe off our stamps. This is the Gina K Designs Tidy Towel. It works great for wiping down your stamps, and it's, you know, it's just like a chamois, and you just dampen it and wipe off your stamps. And once a week, I just take it and rinse it out really well and put it back in this little container, and it's good to go. Okay. So let's put our stamps away. I believe we are done with the stamping. Okay. And I am going to keep this set out because I do need to use the die for the Merry Christmas. So we'll just keep that handy. And we're done with this. All right, so next we're going to, let me put my black inks away. We're done with those. The next thing we're going to do is just do some ink blending and some coloring on these images. Now, I really liked the card that I made because I didn't color in everything. You certainly can, and it looks great, but I really liked just coloring in parts of the design. I think it really made a cool effect. And the colors I'm going to use are just two colors, Moonlit Fog and Blue Denim from Gina K Designs. And I'm going to start with the Moonlit Fog first. And for this, I definitely want to tape down my panel. I do not want this to move when I'm ink blending. Okay, so that's down. And let's see, I don't need that. And then what we're going to do to color it is we're going to use these layering stencils. Okay, and this is Holiday Floral. It's the coordinating stencil that goes with the Holiday Floral stamp and die set bundle that I have. So this is really cool. I've said this before, I don't color all that great, but these stencils just, you know, you can't go wrong with them. The hardest thing for me is lining them up. But sometimes the layering stencils are pretty easy to follow, but some you just have to just fiddle around with. So, so the two, it looks like we're going to be using that. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see, I'll just pull that. We're going to be using this, the center, actually the very center of the poinsettia, and then these two elements. So let's start off with the center, which is going to be this, and I'm going to use the we're going to use the blue denim for this. So you just want to position just, what I like to do is just lay the stencil down and just turn it until it's in the right spot. And then I do like to tape it down so it doesn't move on me. Okay. So get that down right about there, and then I'm going to tape the stencil down. Right now I'm only doing that. And so I'm going to use a fine detail blending brush from Simon Says Stamp. Okay, let me grab a paper towel, and I'm just going to put some ink around it, or on it. I might even tap some off. And then I like to just go in. You can always darken it up, but I like to start out light and then gradually add the color. I'm going to leave it right like that. And while I have this blue out, I am going to go ahead. I'm going to just pull this aside and just wipe that off. And let's go ahead and do these berries. I want to do the berries in this blue as well. And again, you just want to line it up. And if it's not perfect, that's okay. I made one of these cards and the color was just offset just a tad, and I thought it looked good. I liked it. So, you know, don't worry about it if it's not perfect. It doesn't need to be. Okay. And you can use a bigger blending brush, but for the small areas, I just find that the small detail brushes work just fine. Okay, and while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and add some color to this extra berry that I'm going to die cut out. I'm going to zoom in just one more time, and so you can see the stamped image through the stencil, and you just line it up the best you can see. I think that's going to look good. And just put your ink down. Okay. All right. So for right now, we are going to hold off on the blue denim. And I want to just clean off the stencil before I move on. And I'm just using a glass bottle that I have some rubbing alcohol in from the grocery store, from the drugstore. I'll zoom out. You don't need that big of a close-up. And I'm just going to spray some on the towel, on the paper towel, kind of do it away from my ink blending, and then just wipe it down. It comes right off. And what's nice about the rubbing alcohol, you can use water. It comes off with water too, but the rubbing alcohol dries instantly, and you can reuse the stencil, which is what I need to do. So, all right. So the next is we're going to come in with the Moonlit fog, and we're going to do this part of the flower with the Moonlit fog. So this is the part. You just take your time, and you want to line it up. I think we got it right there. Okay. And then once you have that lined up, make sure to tape the stencil down really well. And then I'm also bringing in some Post-its, because when I ink blend this, I do not want to come near this edge or it'll make a line. And I don't want that. So I'm just going to protect the panel with some Post-its. Okay. Just like that. All right. And so we have the Moonlit fog. And I have a larger blending brush. It's just kind of gray. And I'm just going to rub off any of the ink that was on it from before. Just bring this in. And again, go in light. You can always add more to darken it up. And what I like to do with this is I like to keep it lighter in the center and get darker as I go out. That kind of gives it a glow, and you'll see that effect. You will see it. So I'm just going to start out real light, just like that. And now I'm going to go in with a heavier hand. I'm just going to put more pressure and just kind of go around the perimeter. Okay. And just at the tips. It might not look like much right now, but when you remove the stencil, you'll definitely see. And I'm going back and forth so I can hit each edge, and it'll give it a lot of depth to the image. Okay, and I want to leave that center light like that. All right, so let's remove this, and we'll lift this up. And then the next layer, well, again, I'm going to just wipe this off with the alcohol that was on here. The next layer is the outer petals, and you can kind of see this one's a little bit easier to line up because you just use the center of this to cover up what you just ink blended over. So there you go, just like that. And tape it down when you got it. Oops, I just moved it. Tape it down when you have it in place. And if you need to protect the card panel, just cover it up with some Post-its. And then I'm going to bring in a larger blending brush to hit those petals with the blue denim. And again, I'm just going to go in light at first. Just go over them all lightly. And then I'll darken up the tips. All right, so there's that first layer, and I'm just going to hit the tips to make them darker. I just really love layering stencils. Okay, and that, again, that back and forth motion hits the edges and really defines the edges. Okay, so that's that. Carefully remove everything and make sure you don't have ink on your fingers when you're touching. And that is the panel. I love how that came out. So the only thing we need to do is, I'm going to set this aside because I want to clean off the stencil. I'm just going to spray this down with some alcohol. Okay. Get both sides because the ink does go through a little bit. And that's all we're going to use for the stencil. And then I do want to die cut these two images out. So let me just clean this space up, and then we'll come back and do some die cutting. Okay, so I pulled in the matching dies here, the coordinating dies for these two images, and we're going to just die cut those out. So we just line it up. And it leaves a nice white border around the image once you cut it. So you definitely want to tape these down once you get them where you want to position them. And we'll do the same for the berry. And I find that if I just get the stem in the center and then really hold that down, and then I can just move this top part where it needs to be. That's kind of the best way I find, so I don't cut off the stem. All right, I'll just run that through. And then I do want to pop these up a little bit onto the card panel. So I always will cut at least one, maybe two more pieces out just so I can layer them up. So I'll go ahead and do that, but let me pull this out just so you can see that beautiful Merry Christmas image. And then the berries, we're going to add that near the greeting. So let me go ahead and cut two more of these, just the shadow layers. So I'm just basically going to run these through again a couple more times, and I'll do that, and then I'll be right back. So what I'm going to do is I have these extra shadow layers, and I'm just going to glue them to the back of the stamped image. And again, this just adds some dimension without having to cut all tiny little pieces of dimensional foam tape. I like to just use my card scrap for this. It's a good way to use up scraps. And it's a quick, easy way to add depth and dimension to your greetings or any elements that you're going to add to your cards. Okay, we'll do the same to this. And I'm using Gina K Connect glue from Gina K Designs. And these are so easy to line up. Whoops. All right, let me put the stone out on those just to get that glue to adhere. Let me get my die images or die cuts out of the way. And then the next thing we do is we're going to adhere the panel onto a matte layer. The matte layer is just black cardstock and 65-pound weight, 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And this gives this die cut panel be give a nice black border along that. So I really like that. So let's go ahead and glue this down. All right. I'm just going to eyeball it. I just kind of look at all 4 edges and just make sure there's even margins all the way around to my eye. All right, that looks good. And then I think what I like to do is I like to go ahead and put this onto the card base, because sometimes I like my greeting to come off the edge and I don't want it to extend further out from the card base or it won't fit in the envelope. So I have my card base, and this is a sheet of white cardstock, 110 pound, and it's just an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And on the 8.5 side, I cut it in half at 4 1/4. That's all you do, and I stamp my logo on there. And I just fold it over. You can score it at 5 1/2, which is half of the 11-inch side, or most times I just fold it over, meet the edges, and then crease the fold down with a sturdy object. I use a bone folder for that. You can use anything. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue this down to the card panel. So let's do that next. All right, and the same thing, just eyeball the border all the way around. The glue, doesn't adhere immediately, so if you get it wrong, just peel it off right away and do it again. I've done that many times. All right, let's bring in the reverse tweezers here and get this down here. I want to see where I'm going to place this. And the other card, I kind of had it down here I had it coming off actually a little bit off the panel at the bottom and to the side. And I'm going to do the same. I really like that. And also these extra berries I have coming off to the side. So let's go ahead and put the greeting down first. This is super easy. And again, I really hope, use what's in your stash. You can repeat this same technique with anything. You can make a birthday card, a sympathy card, anything really. But it's just a nice layout. And if you have layering stencils to color in the image, that's even better. That's just bonus. And again, with the glue, you have some wiggle room to make sure it's adhered down. And then we will go ahead and glue the berry branch. And we're going to just tuck that right in here. Okay. All right. I'm just giving that glue a second to adhere before I pull it up here to show you. But that is the finished card. It's very pretty, very easy to do. I'll take some good pictures and put it at the end of the video. And so there you go. You can visit my website, ascarddesign.com. I have a lot of cards there, stickers. So check that out, and feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Until next week, make it a great day.